we may not be able to help everyone in the world, but if a chance comes up that we are able to impact a person's life, that may be the only thing we can do in that moment. So we saw an opportunity to be able to change people's lives, and we took it, and that in turn has changed our lives. My name is Milly Kikomeko.
My name is Robert Milly Kikomeko. The starting of Maisha is an inspiration from our backgrounds. We come from families that are poor. For example, my father is a disabled. He has a problem of hearing, which he has had since I got to know him, since I was young, and that hindered him to get jobs, and so he could not work at all. So and then the fact that people helped me to see me through school and support me here and there. When I started working, I felt this is a time for me also to see that I can help support another child who may be having the same background as mine. So when I met Milly, she also was in the same kind of situation, and she had the heart of helping. So we decided to team up together and start Maisha. Maisha is a Swahili word that means life. It means life. And then the vision is to empower a life to save a generation. Yeah. By empowering one life, you're able to save a generation, because one life and another, in the end, also it becomes a chain, and the whole generation can be saved. When you look at the current students or pupils in Maisha and in Maisha program, generally, in a space of like 20 years, there will be a very big change. Already there is. That background it kept on inspiring us by using the little income we would get. I was working with an adoption agency at the time in 2013. So the proceeds, the money I would get, we would support some kids by giving them scholastic materials and paying for them tuition fees. And then eventually we decided maybe if we started a school and raise money to pay salaries for the teachers, we can be able to support more kids. If we are supporting 10 now, if we paid 2 teachers, they can be able to teach like maybe 30. So like that, we were able to proceed.
Yeah. And one of the most important things that you can do for anyone is to teach them something. You know, education is one of the ways that we can change people's lives, not for a moment, but for a long period of time. So, like he said, we were helping children to, actually it was just like a place where, because we had a room where we identified as an office, so kids would come in during the day, we give them what to eat, because they looked hungry, and then we sent them back. And when time for going to school started, they could come and we give them books and pens at that time, or pencils, and they could go back and go to school. But then the need grew. Then they would send them back, because even government schools in Uganda, or the schools that are supposed to be free, you have to pay something for it. There is that fee that you're supposed to give or to pay. So they could still not have that, so they would still come back, and we would always wonder why we are giving them books and then food, but then why are they still not going to school? So they told us that they sent them back home for school fees. So we were doing something, yes, but we felt like probably we could do a little bit more than just food and scholastic materials. And that's how we agreed that maybe a school will be the most important thing that we could do at that moment. But as time goes on, the need grows and the things still come, and people always come. Now the thing about people is when they know that you are helping in some way, they have the mind or the thinking that you can help in so many ways. So it grew from just being able to come to school and then having medical requirements, then helping with medical bills, then from just children to their parents, and then to their older siblings as well. So that's how over the years we've grown from just a school and then to having programs that also help to the older kids to also be in school, to go through rehabilitation, mothers to have their children safe and healthy, and then also young women staying in school by giving them sanitary towels and all of those things. So it's just about helping, the two of us, doing whatever we can, using or asking as many people as possible to stand with us so we can help to reach, even if it's just one person at a time, but with hope that what we are doing for them is capable of helping an entire generation. Yeah.
And as the Bible says in Proverbs, that he who gives to the poor lends to God. We, as a person and my wife, we really felt like that is the only way we can give to God, because these people needed help, and at least we had something in our hands.
Right now, the school educates about 450 learners at this point, and 70% are entirely dependent on the school budget. None of them pays anything to the school to be educated. The 30% is the one that like guardians who are able to bring something towards the school, we ask them to bring as little as they can. But of course, you realize that they still don't bring it, but then you're not going to send the children away. Then at the school right now, according to the facilities we have 73 that are sleeping at the school. We have 2 dormitories, one for the girls and one for the boys. Of course, we are not able to make sure that every child has their own bed. We don't have that much space, but we hope, there is a building that we are trying to build behind the main block where we shall at least separate, because it's big enough to accommodate one group, either the boys and everyone has a bed of their own. But for now, that's the capacity we are able to take. We hope that, and we know actually, we just don't hope, we know that all the children that are sponsored by the organization would be safer, happier and healthier in the school. But right now, because of the limitation, it is not possible. And our prayer is that we are able to make it possible at some point. Yeah.
How many kids live in this home?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so how many kids we have?
Yeah, excluding your 2 biological children. How
Oh.
many kids have you then, on top of that, taken in your
Dorcas,
own home?
Doreen, Bridget, Thomas, Edward, Teddy, Catherine, Clarissa. You had Tara, Seth, Liam, Gabriela, and Lucky. Okay. Well, we stay in Mukono, a place quite a bit out of the Kampala metropolitan area. In the Kampala metropolitan area, about 17 kilometers from Kampala.
Yeah,
But that's
17,
about
20,
that's about 230 kilometers to the school. So at home we have a family of 14 extra children apart from me, my husband, and our 2 boys, Tyler and Travis. And how these kids end up at our house is that they have been through situations, or we found them in situations where it was unsafe for them to remain in the villages where we found them. Each and every one of them has a story that is different from the other, and because we try to do as much as we can, but if we can't help and we can't ensure the safety of a child where we found them, the only safe place to have them at that point is our house. So that's how most of them find themselves at the school. Now, right now we have 4 that came from Maisha, because we've had 2 sittings, and each year we've had 2 that have come over, and that's because they have nowhere else to go. And just because we provided them with primary education and now it's done, we can't just throw them back to the world. I mean, it's impossible for us to do that. We've been parents to them for 7 years or so, so it still remains our responsibility somehow to make sure that they have a home and they are safe. So that's how they end up into our house, and they are our children, to say. So they are part of us. We are all one big family. Yeah.
However, we have 2 biological children, boys. One is 6 years, and the second one is 2 years.
Yeah, I don't really know if we are going to add that many. We already have, it's full house already.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Most of them, even the kids at Maisha, they have not had a chance to experience what it means to have both of your parents alive. Like, they don't know, because most of them were left when they were even babies. Some of them never even got a chance to see either or both of their parents, because they were left with their grandmothers or random people in the villages and all of that. So for us, every chance we get to live with a child, it is our opportunity to show them that someone loves you and someone cares for you, and you can call someone mommy or daddy. You have a family, you have people who really love and care about you. So we try as much as possible, not for them to forget their families, but to have a sense of belonging, for them to feel like this is home.
To me, it is special for somebody to call someone dad. It is not just because I want you to forget your home, but when you have a relationship with me of father and child, it comes with special privileges. Because I don't want to just be your sponsor, but I want to be your father, your dad, so that you are able to even relate with me, with your inner feelings, and so that, because as much as we have needs which are physical, but we have more needs that are emotional, and that can only be solved when there is a relationship of parenthood, of that relationship of father and mother. That is how a child is able to understand that if I have emotional problems, I have somebody to talk to. That is why we encourage them, and I've seen it work because it helps them, because they have not had that kind of relationship. They have been staying with their aunts, their relatives, but they had not had that closeness. But when a child starts to understand that he is my dad, he even tries to tell you, there are times when these kids tell you a lot of things you do not even expect, and even when their relatives they've been living with have never heard about it. But it's because of that relationship, of being free and to ask that I can come and say, I need whatever I need, because the father will give, a child asks the father will give according to his abilities.
And I also think it's more of a relationship of trust.
Yeah.
You know, the feeling that I am willing to be your mother only if you are willing to be my child. You know, and it doesn't really matter.
And usually we don't ask them to do it. They do it themselves. Because
we don't even ask them
after understanding,
Yeah.
when they see how we relate with them, how
Yeah.
we treat them, how we do things, they find it in themselves that we are not just their uncle, we are not just their sponsor, but we are their parents.
And sometimes, personally, I feel sometimes sad when all they know is us. But even when we try to make sure that, you have, maybe your mother is still there and all of those things. But I think it's also, they are receiving whatever we are giving them, and that's beautiful. Of course, it's not easy from the start. It takes time as you build, especially when a kid has been through grave abuse. Sometimes it's hard for them to trust again, but once they get this spark and the light and they are able to receive the love, the story changes, and that's really what matters the most.
As a person, there are times when I used to feel weird when these old kids are calling me dad. But then I think the Spirit of the Lord gave me a revelation to understand it better, that it is something I would have said, no, don't call me dad. But I understood that, like, it is, it comes from that trust and feelings that they feel special, that we are special to them. Yeah. That is because it automatically came by themselves, not us.
What have been some of your biggest obstacles related to starting the school and running the school and orphanage? What have been some of your biggest challenges with that?
Like we discussed earlier, is the spiritual atmosphere, the difference in the faith, and how the God that we know and the God we want people to know, that has really been a big challenge, because you want to help people and they actually have needs. These kids are really in situations where they need help, but they won't allow you just because you speak Jesus and they don't believe in Jesus.
And then also we cannot take away the challenge of limited resources and money. Yeah, of course, running a place like Maisha School and Maisha organization, yeah, of course, you need, it has a lot of bills and a lot of so the need of money, especially food, because these kids have to feed
regardless.
All meals. You have to feed them breakfast, lunch, supper. So, and also some we have to buy them clothes, medical care. So also that has been a challenge.
And I think the need is really too much. Sometimes we do have a budget, but then sometimes we overrun it. Other times we just are overwhelmed by what the bills are. There is too much of a need, and we never have enough. We never have enough.
And because you also have to pay taxes, organizations in Uganda, we are not exempted from those taxes. So it increases our operational costs in relation to our income. Being a non-profit, so you find you have to run to the banks for loans to see that you can be able to beef up the budget, to make sure that you are able to incur the required needs of the daily running of the organization.
And of course, the hardest part is we have a big staff of 26 at this point, 26 staff members who have to be paid at all costs, you know. Regardless of whether you've gotten the funds or not, they have to still be paid because they do a great job to help with teaching the learners, making sure they are safe, healthy, and they really do an amazing job. Some of them have really studied so much to become who they are today, and they really deserve to be paid as well. So that's also a huge budget at the end of the month that we can't fail to honor at all costs. And then there's also making sure that we feed 2 meals for over 400, you know, for over 400 learners a day, depending on the turn up, and then 3 meals to 75 or 73 learners every day. So that's not something so easy to do if you do not have enough funds. And then on top of that, every day someone is sick or they're running a fever, they need to see a doctor. And one of the most expensive things to get in Uganda is health care, because government hospitals do not have medicine, and then they are almost far. That even if you are to take a child to a government hospital, you still have to incur transport costs. And even then, they will diagnose and still send them to go and buy medicine. So it's really very, you know, it's sometimes hard to live on low budgets with so much that we have to do on the table. And then we also have our own family. One would ask, why don't you put whatever we have? It's just the two of us, it's me and him, and we have these jobs that are not so well paying. Plus, I said part of what I do is to help people get justice, and these people are people who cannot pay lawyers or expensive lawyers to help them. So we have a family of over 20 people we are supposed to feed, and over 17 kids that we are supposed to educate on our own, and also feed every day, and also make sure they have the supplies they need. So we need as much help as we can to be able to continue doing whatever we are doing, because the hardest thing for us is to choose between children, to choose that maybe you are going to have one meal today, or so the others can also have. So it's easier and very helpful if we at least can manage the budget. So it's funds is a very big challenge. Yeah. Maybe what I can say is that we may not be able to help everyone in the world, but if a chance comes up that we are able to impact a person's life, that may be the only thing we can do in that moment. So we saw an opportunity to be able to change people's lives, and we took it, and that in turn has changed our lives. We have gotten a chance to have as many children as we would not have had in the first place. We have gotten a chance to help so many people, much more than we can even record, and so that in a way has made us better people. That's what I can say. Doing something for you may change your life, but doing something for others will definitely change how you react to situations that happen in your life. So you may be helping so many people in your lives, and you are like, why would I help these people? But even with a single dollar, there's so much that you can do. Even with 2 or 5, now imagine much more than that. We would just ask you to help us. Just help us to keep doing what we are doing. We can all do something. We are here, we are willing to serve, we are willing to help as many people as we can, and you may be having something that will help us to continue or encourage us, even with prayer, even with just emails and letters and words of encouragement, even with funds. Just let's work together. Let's just help people together.
I want to thank people who have been supporting through sponsoring a child, those who have been giving one-time donations, who have been supporting our constructions for either a classroom, those who have supported to drill a well in the community, any kind of support, any form of support through prayers, encouragement. We thank you so much. You have enabled us to move these 10 years, and you have enabled us to see the impact that has already been made in the community. Therefore, I want to continue to encourage you to support. Somebody says that kindness is a language that the dumb can speak, the deaf can hear, and the blind can see. Surely, when you support somebody, no matter their situations, where they are sick, whether they are dumb or deaf, they are able to feel it. So I encourage you all to continue supporting in any way. You can sponsor a child, you can take any donation on anything you want to. So I encourage you, and we thank you so much.